Today on Montreal Delights, we'll look at the concept of bring your own wine in restaurants.
Then we take a sneak peek into a popular post-clubbing hotspot.
And we might not teach you how to Dougie, but we will teach you how to pickle. Good evening. I'm Brittany Leborn.
And I'm Sarah-Jeanne Lapointe. Welcome to the Friday, February 3rd edition of Montreal Delights. Montreal has always had a reputation when it comes to good food. Well, now Montrealers are able to experience something that they have been deprived of for quite some time. The Groman 78 taco truck hit the street of our city only a year ago and has been making waves ever since. From the festival scene to the La Chine Canal, people are going crazy for their gourmet tacos. Our reporter Josh Carey has more.
Hilary McGowan has never been her own boss, nor did the idea of being one ever cross her mind. All she knew was that she loved to cook food and that she had to do it in Montreal. Hilary started Montreal's first taco truck with her partner Mark and her friend Gail, each having their own unique culinary background to work with.
The company name is called the Groman 78 Taco Truck, because we're in Quebec. It's Le Camion à Tacos, Groman 78. I used to work as a cook at a restaurant in Toronto. I don't do any of the cooking anymore, which is strange for me, but kind of liberating. I have a host of other challenges, like how to run a business, which, you know, the learning curve is like that. You learn it quickly or else your business fails.
Her business, however, has been booming since its inception in 2010. Through extensive travel and one fateful trip to Mexico, Hilary and her partner Mark decided that Montreal lacked the kind of Mexican cuisine that had taken them aback when on vacation.
The vibe was great and the food was amazing and it was so cheap. And Mark and I were like, Montreal needs a place like this, you know. We could make tacos. They're delicious, they're cost effective, and we said, okay, we'll get the truck, but because it's illegal in Montreal, it'll be like a publicity stunt. And then we realized that, you know, there are certain gray areas within the law that would allow us to operate. We're considered caterers. We have a special permit from MAPAC, which is the Ministry of Agriculture and Pêcheries of Quebec. The permit is just a regular permit. And on the questionnaire, it asked if you are operating out of a vehicle, which I thought was interesting, considering it's not allowed.
Montreal has always been known for its culinary delights, making it comparable to big food cities such as New York or Paris. But unlike many of those big cities, Montreal has never had a big street food scene. Street vendors, in fact, have been banned from selling food on the streets for over 50 years.
The ban on street food was initiated by Jean Drapeau. He wanted to clean up the city for Expo 67. And nobody has repealed the law since then. We went to City Hall, tried to get a permit. We knew they would say no, but you have to go. We said, we want a permit to sell in our truck. And they said, well, you can't do it. We said, yeah, we know. Well, can we talk to somebody about that? No. So the law is on the books, but there's nobody who really owns it. There's no Department of Anti-Street Food. So yeah, it's not allowed, but why and who's going to defend it for me? It's an antiquated law and it does the city a disservice. I would like to see some changes for my benefit, obviously, but also for the benefit of everybody else. And I'd like to see a lot more trucks on the road so that I can eat at them. I'm tired of eating at the same places.
Operating out of parking lots and on private property, Grumman's has been making a name for itself while catering to a wide variety of locals, especially
hipsters. Seriously, just because we're up in the Mile End, lots of hipsters in the Mile End. I don't mean that disparagingly, it just is the case. Our clientele really runs the gamut. We've had so many different kinds of groups in here and people coming to the truck. We have kids, we have older people, we have Anglos, we have Francos, I have Italians, Jewish kids, you know, everybody comes to the truck. I feel like it's got such a wide appeal and it's fun and, you know, it's different. It's not a hot dog. It's not a poutine. It's time for the taco.
You can find the lime green truck rolling through the plateau or parked by the La Chine Canal. You can also find them at many of Montreal's biggest festivals.
We were at the Jazz Fest, we were open from 12 to 12 every day, and we had a lineup every day. During a 10-day period, we transformed 10,000 pounds of pork. So this kitchen was running all the time. My cooks had daggers in their eyes. It was our first year. We didn't know what to expect. The response to our project was phenomenal. We did the Just for Laughs festival a few weeks later. The truck is popular in different places. You know, we have different crowds. To make somebody happy by giving them something as simple as a taco, it's the best. It really is. And to have people say, it's crazy that street food is illegal. You know, I also agree.
With the increasing popularity of Grumman's, hopefully the City of Montreal will reconsider the current food truck laws.
Josh, are there any plans for another truck in the future?
Well, Sarah, Grumman's have purchased another truck, but the concept for that particular truck is still undecided. They don't know whether it's going to be a taco truck or possibly a new food altogether.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you very much, Sarah Jean.
The kosher diet has been around for thousands of years. There are kosher prepared foods sold all around us, including at our local grocery stores. But most don't know the thorough process of preparing kosher foods. Our reporter Derek Eason went to J&R Kosher Meat and Delicatessen to find out how it's done.
Hi, my name is Tzvi Hershkowitz. I'm a mashgiach. A mashgiach is a rabbi at a kosher plant who makes sure that everything in the plant is kosher. And I'm also a menaker, and that's someone who takes out the veins. He does the process called nikur, which is taking out the veins and the fats that we're not allowed to eat from the meat of an animal. Before it comes kosher, you don't have this. It comes straight. This is all cut work. So because over here you have some small veins, or rather bigger veins than the rest of it, that need to come out, because there's two things we're not allowed to eat: certain fats and some of the bigger veins. Jews are not allowed to have blood. So we take out, this is a good example. We'll cut from here. We'll take out, there's a vein over here, which is why it's always open. There's one here, then there's fats all around here.
You're saying like you cut off a lot of fat, you can't eat certain fats, so does that make the meat like more like healthier in a way than regular prepared meat?
Yeah. It would be less fatty and less veiny.
Yeah.
You know. So if you don't like veins, blood, fat, you got the right religion.
Right.
But don't convert. Judaism is supposed to be the most humane. You know, it's supposed to be a very humane religion. That's what we're known for. For example, the most not kosher animal anyone could think of is a pig. Yeah. And the reason of that is because every single other animal on the farm is there for a purpose. Chicken gives you eggs, cow gives you milk, horse you could ride. Any other animal has a purpose why it's on the farm, but the pig is just there to be eaten, to be killed. Yeah. And it's cruel. That's why it's considered the most not Jewish animal. That's the guy that taught me everything I know. When it comes to the cutting of the animals, good man. I learned it also with a rabbi, but you guys did tell me. You perfected.
So what would be the difference in preparing a halal meat to a kosher meat?
So the way how they kill is the same.
Okay.
Between halal kosher is the same. Like the Muslim, it's allowed to eat with the kosher because they have the same Bible. We are in the same religious. It's in here. But only the different way, the way to kosher, to take out the vein, to salt it, to put the water. For halal is nothing. Like only you kill by the name for the God. After you leave the animals, like to remove all his blood, it's normal, and you can eat it without washing, without salt it, without anything. But in the Jewish people, or in the Jewish religions, it's very, very strict for this one. Supposed to be we kill, we remove out the vein, where the blood, we put it in the water, and after we salt it, the salt to absorb the blood more. After we wash it, we are like, if not 100%, at least 99%, we are taking out the blood from the animals.
Just another thing. I remember someone came in here. You asked about the nutrition. Someone came in here and asked, and he was telling me he's not Jewish, but he specifically likes buying the kosher beef hot dogs. because he knows that they don't mix in any pork fat.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
So it's guaranteed to be beef with less fat.
For Concordia News, I'm Derek Eason.
A lot of people agree that good food is nothing without a good bottle of wine. In the beginning of the 80s, restaurant owners in Montreal were searching for a way to give their business new life. They decided to allow customers to bring their favorite bottle of wine to enjoy with their meals. I sat down with the pioneer of the concept.
Bring Your Own Wine started on Prince Arthur Street.
Yeah.
We're going back now 25 years, 77, right after the Olympics. It was a little place by the name of Chez Vimos. It was a little place that went into the basement. You had to take like 3-4 steps down to get into some kind of a dining room. It was like a sub-basement. But the place was jam, 7 nights a week.
Wow.
And this was the first Bring Your Own Wine restaurant.
For how long have you been into the business?
Oh, since I was a teenager. When my dad started in Côte-Saint-Luc Road at the Amazon, we're going back 1979. 33 solid years I've been in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
We had the option at that time to carry a liquor permit and to have Bring Your Own Wine. After the years went on, I mean, the next one opened, Vieux Duluth opened, Casa Grec opened, this guy opened, that guy opened. The government said, hey, whoa, what's going on here? Here we're taxing the liquor permit, the guys that have the liquor permits, and these guys that are having Bring Your Own Wine, what's going on? We're not earning a buck. So the Bring Your Own Wine liquor permit actually became a liquor permit.
What would you say to somebody who's hesitating maybe in going to a regular restaurant where they sell wine or going to Bring Your Own bottle?
You are better off going into a Bring Your Own wine because you can bring any type of wine that you want. If you're a connoisseur and you're drinking expensive wines, for instance, you can take your expensive bottle, bring it to a good place, a good Bring Your Own wine, whether it be Greek, Italian, whatever, and sit down and have a great meal at an affordable price with great surroundings. And that's it. That's the whole story.
Thank you so much for taking your time. Cheers to that.
Cheers to you. Thanks.
So interesting, Sarah-Jeanne. I just love Bring Your Own Wine places. In fact, I tried one out last year for my birthday. But now we move from wining and dining to one of Montreal's popular after-hours hotspots, La Banquise. I took to the city streets to see just what the fuss is all about.
La Banquise has been an after-hours staple in Montreal for over 40 years and is showing no signs of slowing down. The 24-hour eatery on Rachel Street East offers breakfast and a children's menu, but it specializes in a popular dish that originated in Quebec, the poutine. Those who are familiar with La Banquise's friendly yellow facade have enjoyed over 25 variations on the classic fries, cheese, and gravy combo, including a 100% vegetarian version. La Banquise poutine has grown so popular, it has a reputation of being the best poutine in town. But does its reputation really hold up? Jean-Pierre is originally from Mirabel, but came to live in the city to study. He says La Banquise is so good, he visits the cozy resto twice a week. That's their bacon poutine he's on his way home to enjoy.
Je sais pas qu'est-ce qu'il y a, quelque chose de spécial dans les frites ou la sauce que tu ne retrouves pas ailleurs. T'es vraiment déçu quand tu t'en vas ailleurs après avoir été à Banquise.
But others were blunt in saying they've had better, like Joanie. She's only been coming here for 6 months and is still familiarizing herself with their menu. She says their extensive selection is their best asset.
Non, je pense pas, mais c'est très bon parce que c'est le fun parce que c'est une place que tu peux manger des poutines originales que tu trouves pas ailleurs. Fait que c'est le fun à cause de ça, mais sinon je trouve pas que c'est quand même la meilleure.
But we also got to hear from non-Quebecers. Megan, a McGill student from Edmonton, says she's been coming to La Banquise for a year and a half. She's tried almost 10 varieties, but her favorite is the taquis, a Mexican-inspired poutine with guacamole, sour cream, and tomatoes.
Of all the places you've tried, what does it rank 1 to 10, 10 being the best? Of all the for poutine? Yeah, for poutine. Yeah, it'd be at the top.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
Oh, right. So it's living up to its reputation.
Yes, absolutely.
So, it looks like La Banquise is holding on to its reputation as one of Montreal's hottest poutine spots. Now all this talking has made me hungry, so I'm going to go inside and get my own.
Have you ever wondered how Mrs. White makes that perfect pickle every time? What is the secret behind the satisfying crunch? Our reporter Jesse Matheson spoke with Simon Whitenough about the rise of the family label. The grandson of the famous Mrs. White shares the history behind his love of pickling. Here are some tips he learns along the way.
My grandfather was a door-to-door bread salesman, horse and buggy type, and his wife made pickles at home, and she thought that if he sold pickles with his bread that they could augment the family income, and my grandfather thought it was a horrible idea because he said everybody made their own pickles, so it's stupid to do it. But of course he was wrong. And that's how it started. He never liked the fact that it was Mrs. White. He always used to say, well, Mr. White does all the work. Why do we have to put Mrs. White's on the label? She died in 1954. When I started in the company, there was a lot of, how shall I say, structuring to do. There were no real structures. Believe it or not, there were no real written down recipes at the time. And so the first thing I did was a little bit of just to quantify the recipes and make them, standardize the recipes, that would be the word. And I was mostly involved with production. It was mostly in our office in Toronto that they called me that, because they would wait, things are in the warehouse, or they'd be shipping something and something happened to it. They'd say, okay, well, when Simon comes. So whenever I got there was always a little area of things that were for me to fix. Everything's fixable, because pickles are only a carrier of a flavor. So if it's too salty, there's a way to fix it. If it's too this, there's a way to fix it. If they're too soft, there's really no way to fix it. You can try things, but that is adding stuff that maybe you don't want to add to pickles. In the life cycle of a company, we were at a point where it was time to either get smaller or bigger. Getting smaller is not really an option, so it was a matter of getting bigger, so we decided that the time was to sell. I mean, that's why I do pickles today, because that's the part of the business. Now that I'm not in the business anymore, that's the part of the business that I love, the actual making of the pickles. I'd pickle anything from carrots to beets to onions, cauliflower, cucumbers, of course. On my balcony, every summer we have a big plastic barrel, which is about a 200-liter drum. I like to do it the old-fashioned way, which is only one barrel. It's easy to do. We crush the garlic, we buy the dill at the market, so you just fill your barrel with the pickles, the cucumbers, and the dill and the garlic, the salt, of course, and the water. Then we let it sit outside in the warm weather. We let it ferment. And then when we decide it's ready to put them into jars, we put them into jars. The pickling is really simple. Really down, I mean, in a factory, yeah, there's sophisticated equipment, there's conveyor belts, and there's big mixing tanks, and there's, shakers and doing all the work. But I mean, the basic science of pickling is very simple. Just try. If it doesn't work out, you'll try again. I always tell people, I mean, because I love pickling, and I know that I'm sure that a lot of people would, because it is fun and it smells great. The garlic and the dill and the spices, I mean, to me that's like heaven.
Oh my God, these pickles look so good. I wish I could make some myself.
Well, you're in luck, because Jesse's back now to show us how to make our own quick pickles on today's Cooking Corner.
Welcome to the Cooking Corner. I'm your host, Jessie Matheson. Today I'm going to show you Simon Witnoff's quick pickle recipe. This is an easy recipe that you can make at home, and it doesn't take much of the equipment that you need for actually preserving the vegetables. These will go right into your fridge and they'll turn into pickles after a few days. To make quick pickles, we need some basic tools for pickling. First, you need a liter-sized jar, sterilized. You can put it in boiling water or wash it out. The kind of jars we use are Bernardin or mason jars. They're specifically made for pickling. You need a funnel, a sharp knife for cutting your vegetables, a cutting board, a big bowl, a saucepan, and little bowls for your spices. Step one is to prepare your vegetables. You want to make sure that your vegetables have no rotten spots on them and that they're washed. The next step is to prepare your jars for the brine. So you need to put all your vegetables and any fresh herbs or spices that you want to go in. So what I'm going to put is a lot of garlic. You can change the recipe to your taste. You could put hot peppers, cilantro, any kind of herb that you like and you think would taste good. You can try it out. It's really open to your taste. Now I'm going to cut my vegetables. The size that you want them to be is bite-sized. You want it to be big enough so that you can stick your fork in and get a good sized pickle. But you don't want it to be too big so that you can't fit very many in your jars. The vegetables I chose are peppers and onions and green beans and cauliflower, cucumbers, celery, and carrots. Now you want to fit as many vegetables in these jars as you can. At this point, I shake my jars so that not only do you get the vegetables all mixed throughout so that when you're eating them you can get some of everything, but also so that you can get them as compact as possible. So since these are my last vegetables, I'm just going to pack them in there. I'm not going to worry about hurting the vegetables because they're going to be pickled soon, so they'll be fine. But just try your hardest to get as many as you can into your jars. For my brine, I'm going to put mustard seed, pickling spice, which is a mix of about 6 different kinds of spices like coriander seed, bay leaves. It's got some mustard seeds in it. I'm also going to put the dill seed because it's not really dill flower season. Dill flower is the ideal spice to use because it's so much more flavorful. But the seed itself works, and we use that in the winter when we can't get fresh dill flower. Then I'll put peppercorn. Peppercorn adds a spicy flavor to the pickles. If you don't like spice, then leave out the peppercorn. And I've also got some crushed red chili peppers, so that's also going to add spice to my pickles. For the brine, you need 5% vinegar. White vinegar is your typical white vinegar from the store, that's 5%. Or you could use cider vinegar, but that's a different flavor. So for this one, I'm going to use the white vinegar. For every liter jar, you add 300 milliliters of vinegar. So I'm going to add, since I have 3 jars, and this is 1 liter of vinegar, I'm just going to add this whole thing. That will leave a little extra brine, but it's always better to have more than less. And then you add 3 tablespoons of salt for every 300 milliliters. So I'm going to add 10. Now, one option is to leave this liquid as it is and pour it into your jars, 300 milliliters in each jar. But for me, I'm going to add my spices, which anybody can do. You can add however many spices you want. So what I'll do is I'll just take a pinch of each of my spices and throw it in to the mix. And now it depends on how much you want flavored, like you can add more or less, but about a half a tablespoon of each flavor is pretty good for the amount we're making. This next step is optional. If I weren't using any spices in mine, I'd just pour the vinegar right into the jars. But for me, to kind of get the flavors to permeate throughout the liquid, I'm going to boil my liquid on the stovetop. So now's the part where we add the brine. You have to be careful because you're dealing with a hot liquid, and so I use a funnel. It's better to have a metal funnel because it's so hot, but any funnel really works. Now the last of my spices are kind of conglomerated at the bottom of this, so I'm just going to make sure they're evenly spread throughout the jars by using a spoon. And the final step is to top off all your jars. So you want the liquid to be at the top of all your vegetables. So you want to top them all off with a little bit of water. And then you want to make sure all the air is out and that your liquid is full. So I just take a fork and I push down on the vegetables. And now you're ready to top your jars. Then you take these pickles, you put them right into your fridge and give it a couple days and you've got your pickles. Jardinière.
Well, that's all for Tonight Montreal. I'm Brittany Laborne.
And I'm Sarah Jean Lapointe. See you next week for the next edition of Montreal Delights.
Thank you and good night.
I wanna shoot, 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 shoot.